Shall I read the first chapter? And if anybody has a question, please put it to me. I like that, to have a bit of a discussion. I will put on my glasses. And after this book, I've gone on writing, and I've written 2 other novels. One is called June, which is probably being published by Harvel Secker, not in 2012, but in 2013. And after that, I've written a novel which is called The Detour, and that's the novel that Harvel Secker is going to publish in 2012. It's, you know. The novel, by the way, is translated by David Colmer, who's also going to have lunch with the Queen and your president. He's a wonderful translator. I've put Father upstairs. I had to park him on a chair first to take the bed apart. He sat there like a calf that's just a couple of minutes old before it's been licked clean, with a directionless, wobbly head and eyes that drift over things. I ripped off the blankets, sheets and undersheet, leaned the mattress and bed boards against the wall, and unscrewed the sides of the bed. I tried to breathe through my mouth as much as possible. I'd already cleared out the upstairs room, my room. "What are you doing?" he asked. "You're moving," I said. "I want to stay here." "No." I let him keep the bed. One half of it has been cold for more than 10 years now, but the unslept side is still crowned with a pillow. I screwed the bed back together in the upstairs room, facing the window. I put the legs up on blocks and remade it with clean sheets and 2 clean pillowcases. After that, I carried Father upstairs. When I picked him up off the chair, he fixed his eyes on mine and kept them there until I was laying him in bed and our faces were almost touching. "I can walk," he said, only then. "No, you can't." Through the window, he saw things he hadn't expected to see. "I'm up high," he said. "Yes, that's so you can look out and see something other than just sky." Despite the new room and the clean sheets and pillowcases, it smelled musty. He smelled musty and moldy. I opened one of the 2 windows and used the hook to set it ajar. Outside, it was quiet. A fresh chill was in the air, and there were only a few crumpled leaves left on the topmost branches of the crooked ash in the front garden. Off in the distance, I saw 3 cyclists riding along the dike. If I had stepped aside, he would have seen the 3 cyclists as well. I stayed put. "Get the doctor," Father said. "No," I replied, turning to walk out of the room. Just before the door closed, he shouted, "Sheep!" In his former bedroom, there was a rectangle. Is it rectangle or a rectangle? Rectangle. Rectangle. In his former bedroom, there was a rectangle of dust on the floor, slightly smaller than the dimensions of the bed. I cleared out the room, putting the 2 chairs, the bedside cabinets, and Mother's dressing table in the living room. In a corner of the bedroom, I wriggled 2 fingers in under the carpet. "Don't glue it," I heard Mother say an eternity ago, as Father was about to go down on his knees with a jar of glue in his left hand and a brush in his right, our heads already spinning from the pungent fumes. "Don't glue it. 10 years from now, I'll want new carpets." The underlay crumbled under my fingers. I rolled up the carpet and carried it through the milking parlour to the middle of the yard, where suddenly I didn't know what to do with it. I let it drop, just where I was standing. Startled by the surprisingly loud bang, a few jackdaws flew up out of the trees that lined the yard. The bedroom floor was covered with sheets of hardboard, rough side up. After quickly vacuuming, that's a very, very difficult English word. After quickly vacuuming the room, I used a broad, flat brush to paint the hardboard with grey primer, without bothering to sand it first. While doing the last section in front of the door, I noticed the sheep. Now I'm in the kitchen, waiting for the paint to dry. Only then will I be able to get the gloomy painting of a flock of black sheep down off the wall. He wants to look at his sheep. So I will hammer a nail into the wall on one side of the window and hang the painting for him. The kitchen door is open, and the bedroom door is open too. From where I am sitting, I can look past the dressing table and the two bedside cabinets at the painting on the wall, but it is so dark and discolored that I can't make out any sheep at all, no matter how hard I try. Well, that's chapter 1 of this book. The book is, how many chapters? 56 chapters long, all very short chapters. I love short chapters. I always write short chapters, and that's mainly because I also love to read books with short chapters. I also have a lot of white lines between the, to give you as a reader also the opportunity to, well, maybe reflect a little bit or go like this or whatever. You always have to, I think, give your reader space to breathe, and to process what's in the book, which is maybe for the books I write important, because I try to be as opinionless as possible. I just write down stuff, and it's up to you, the reader, to decide, well, what's it about, really. With this book, it's very funny. I did a lot of talks in Holland, a lot of talks. And it was only after a talk of, or 50 or something, that I began to understand what this book is about. Because my readers tell me what my books are about. This is further in the book. The gentleman just mentioned 2 Henks. One Henk is the dead twin brother of the main character, who put his father upstairs. I just read it. And the other Henk is the son of the former fiancé of his dead twin brother. But it's not his nephew. Or is it then, no, nephew or cousin? No. So this little Henk, you've got big Henk and little Henk. Little Henk is the child of a totally other man. And he comes to stay at Helmer's place. He has a farm. And he has rescued the main character, Helmer, who was almost drowning underneath a sheep in a ditch. Yeah, it sounds strange, but if you read it, it's all completely... Slightly befuddled, I stand in the sheep shed. Not much is happening. The 2 lambs are drinking from their mother. The rest of the sheep are lying down and quietly chewing the cud. There's nothing for me to do in here, and I put off whatever else might be about to happen by sitting on the floor of the lambing pen, my back to the fence. Sitting is easier than standing. A shed full of sheep in spring is just like a shed full of cows in winter. I tell myself that I mustn't think like that anymore. I don't want to think like that anymore. Henk pulled me out of that ditch, and something has changed. The relationship I think with my boozed-up brain. I wonder if you have to do something in return if someone saves your life. One of the lambs comes up to me. The ewe stamps a forefoot. Sheep in a shed aren't as sorry as they are in a field. When I walk out of the shed, I leave the light on. In the scullery, I take off my clothes and throw them in a basket. The sound of TV is coming from the living room. I go into the bathroom, turn on the taps and start by washing my hair with Henk's shampoo. Just when I'm putting the bottle back on the shelf under the mirror, the door opens. He comes into the bathroom and closes the door behind him. "What are you doing?" I ask, wiping the lather out of my eyes. "I want to get in the shower," he says. "Can't you see I'm in here?" "Yes," he says. He pulls off his t-shirt. "You using my shampoo?" "Yes." "It doesn't matter." "Go away, Henk," I say. "Why?" "Because I say so." "Ha!" he says. "Who's the boss here?" He's standing opposite me, the t-shirt dangling from his right hand. He looks surprised. "What's got into you?" "Who's the boss here?" I repeat. The foam on my skull is starting to itch. My head is buzzing. I'm not embarrassed. I don't have the slightest urge to conceal my nakedness. Henk keeps looking at me. I see him turning things over in his head, searching for something to say. "You're the boss," he says. Very calmly, he puts his t-shirt back on before disappearing from the bathroom. When I emerge, all the lights are on. In the kitchen, voices drift from the radio. In the living room, the TV is on a music channel. Henk is nowhere to be seen. I do a circuit of the house and turn off all the lights, the radio and the TV. Finally, I turn the fire down to the lowest setting and go into my bedroom. I turn on the light and go over to stand in front of the map of Denmark. "Skanderborg," I say quietly. Generally, 3 or 4 other names follow, but not this time. I get into the enormous bed and close my eyes. A little later, I hear the sound of a passing cyclist's dynamo. After that, it gets very quiet. I wake up when someone climbs into bed with me. He sighs and shuffles back and forth. The pillowcase on the pillow next to mine rustles. He hasn't turned on the light. I wait. "I don't want to sleep in that room anymore," he says. "It's cold and horrible." I know that. It is cold and horrible. It's also empty. He lies very still. I can't even hear his breathing. "Your father hasn't eaten," he says after a while. I clear my throat. He doesn't want to eat anymore. "Does he want to die?" "Yes." "I don't," he says with a satisfied sigh. Then he turns over onto his side. It's too dark to see which side. I have already said something else. I answered him. Now it's too late to send him away. Maybe this is what you have to do in return for someone saving your life. Thank you.